story. She said Columbia.
Or the pencil.
No. The pencil is for
Or the
family
pencil.
only.
I wasn't even present for that one.
I want to hear that one.
I just heard that one. I wasn't even present.
No, I want to hear that one.
No, he wasn't there.
I
He
wasn't
wasn't
even there, I
present.
just heard
He
it.
wasn't present for that one, but he was
No,
present.
that was Italy. I
He was
up there.
present in France. So we all go. We're Kim and I are talking about renting a car in France and this whole thing. And so Jamie, my husband, and I were gonna split the car with Kim and Brian, and Brian can't drive the car.
Nope.
It's stick.
Oh,
And so we're
stick
like
shift.
thinking.
No, I'm too young.
He-
I was too young.
He's like.
I was
Can't,
24.
he can't, he wasn't old enough to rent a car in France.
Well, how old is you be?
He's younger.
I was like 23,
Oh,
24 at the
really? I
time.
was too
The
young?
thing I remember about France was we had a real nice place in the country.
In Dijon, was it in
And
Dijon?
then we were sitting there trying to figure out what we're going to have to eat.
Oh my gosh.
And Brian
I found it every place we went.
with this 1.5 foot square.
No, the wheel of cheese. The wheel of cheese. We were getting like charcuterie snacks,
Yeah.
for the table, and we would
Yeah, you got it.
sit around and we'd have like light snacks and play cards. And so me, Shane, and Brian went to the.
I thought you were gonna say I found a McDonald's every day.
And they kept saying more, more, and the person's eyes were just huge. They walked
The
in the
big block
door
of cheese, yes.
with like a wheel of cheese. It was hilarious.
Yeah, no.
It was, and it was
I
all
found
gone.
us at
Like they ate it all.
McDonald's every time we went.
All right, come on, kids. Come on, kids.
Dad, well, tell the Columbia story. Dad, the Columbia story.
Hey, wait a minute. I just had
like when you fell in the water too.
I just had a revelation.
Oh, the Thames.
This is the first time, right now, what we're about to see before our very eyes. This is the first time I've
female?
seen a woman
Do this
do
trick?
this trick. No kidding. No.
Hey, no, you said Reagan would try it first.
I did say I thought Reagan would be the
Oh, did
first to
Reagan
try
do
this.
it?
No, she said Reagan would try it first.
I thought Reagan would be the first one to try. Like I could see her mind spinning as she's standing over there.
Well, she was thinking of us as an alternative.
I remember in Paris, I found every McDonald's
I should do it first.
as the navigator.
Okay, Dad. So Columbia.
Well,
Well,
then,
the kidnapping story.
That was on a Saturday, and then
You gotta put it
Sunday
in a
we
little
kind of
more.
hung around.
Put it a
and
little
then
farther.
Monday we had meetings, and then Tuesday I'm leaving. I'm going back to Miami, and so I had a like an 8:30 flight. So I came out of this boutique hotel, and the doorman had a conversation with there were 3 taxis. And,
This is in Bogota?
in Bogota, yeah. And actually, technically, it was just outside of Bogota, but I would say Bogota. And so the doorman had a heated discussion with the taxi cab driver, and it lasted about 3 or 4 minutes. And then that first taxi cab driver just took off. I mean, wheels screeching.
Maybe.
You know,
Got it?
I mean,
I think it's 2.
No, I think you got
got
it.
it?
Hold the bottle though.
Yeah, hold the bottle. Hold the bottle for you?
Oh, you got it. Oh, you're so I will
That's part of the ball.
count that. That counts. I will count that.
I would too.
I'll count that.
Oh, sorry.
You get half the money.
You're good. You're good.
No, that's worth every peso in the pot.
It felt good though, right? You're going. You almost. You pretty much had
You
it.
got a pen to push it in?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Here you go, Hunter, put that up.
He's got it.
That was fantastic.
That was good. That was good. See,
Thank you.
she knows how to do it now.
Now you gotta get that out.
Oh yeah.
I'm so.
That is perfect.
That's.
I will do that the first night I'm back on campus.
You will
I will do that, and I will send you a video.
You'll have your roommate video that, and
yeah.
you'll put it in the group chat.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
100%.
We'll
And I will send you it. I will send you.
We'll
include you
I
in the
will
group
send you a
chat.
copy of the video of me doing it when I do it back at school.
Send him the cord.
Yeah.
Slide the cork and
Set up the silent cord.
Everybody signed the court.
Yeah.
That's a good souvenir, it really is, you know?
Yeah.
And anyhow, so the second taxi cab driver comes up and they had a conversation, and he popped the trunk, and I decided I didn't want to put my bags in the trunk. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so I put my bags in the back seat and I get in. And so now we're going, and the way to the airport is go down about a mile. And I knew it, and then make a left to get to the Carretera, not the Coretta, the Carretera. And
Not the Coretta.
I decided to start it. But this guy goes right. And after he went about 5 minutes, I said, Senor, por favor, aeropuerto otra dirección. He said, and they said in Spanish, he said, no, shortcut. Well, I mean, I'm going to argue with a taxi cab driver? So I don't. So I'm sitting there, you know, just kind of a little bit tired. And then we go on this road that would be parallel to the highway that we should have been taking. And on the right side, there's all this corn. I mean, it's about 8 feet tall. And at about every 50 meters, there was a big space for the agricultural equipment to go through. And when we passed those spaces, the sun kept hitting me. The sunrise was coming up. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, this is not right. And so I woke up quick. And the first thing I did is I pulled my knife out. And
Pre 9/11, when you could carry a pocket
Travel
knife.
with a pocket knife, yeah.
Yeah.
always have a pocket knife, always have it. And so I pulled my knife out and I put the door locks down on all 4 doors. And I said, Senor, no bueno. Stop. And he said, no problem. And then so up the road, about 100 yards in front of us, on the left-hand side of the road, a car flashed its lights twice. He flashed his lights once. That car flashed its lights once. He flashed our lights twice. I grabbed him by the head. I didn't need any more information. I grabbed him by the head. I said, detrás, stop. And he said, no. I said, stop. And he kept going. And I took the knife and I jammed it in right in the back of his neck. Not in the center. But I hit something because the blood is just.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the guy screaming, and I said, and he kept going. I said, detrás. And he kept going. I just turned the knife, and then everything stopped. And I said, back up. And then, so he put it in reverse. And I said, flash the light 6 times. And he said, no, he was crying. I said, flash the light 6 times. I just turned the knife. And then he felt the pain severely enough, and he flashed the light 6 times, and that car took off. So now it's just me and him. And I decided whether to throw him out of the cab or have him drive me to the airport. And so all the way to the airport, I'm holding him by the head with a knife. And we get to the airport, and I'm just covered with blood. And so we go into the airport. Oh no, so when I got to the airport, I had my bags, so I got one, and I threw it over my lap. I got the other one, and I threw it out. And his medallion was up on the thing, and I wanted that medallion. So I, at great pain to him, I reached up and I grabbed the medallion. And so then I took the knife out, I got out of the car, and he took off. And so now I'm standing there, all these people see this guy standing there at the airport.
Covered in blood.
With blood
Right
all
in front of the
over.
airport.
Yeah.
Blood all over. And people came coming over, you okay? You know, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, it's not my blood. I said, don't worry about it. So I go into the restroom and I'm cleaning up. I had to throw away a lot of stuff, and I'm using paper towels. And then here comes the Germani, you know, the police, and they want to know what happened. I said, well, some guy bled over me. I said, no problem. And they said, well, you have to go downtown. And I said, I'm not going downtown. I'm going on that flight. And they said, no, you're going to come downtown. There's a guy standing with an Uzi down. And I said, I'm not going downtown. And I promise you. if you have one of those guys raise the muzzle of that in my direction, he'll be dead. And I said, but I'm taking you out first. I don't know where I got that, but it sounded good.
With that little knife?
During that time, it
I
sounded
had the
good.
knife, I put the knife in my pocket, so I said, they kept insisting I had to go in town. I said, I'm not going in town. And I said, I need to go out to American Airlines. And I talked to American Airlines, and I said, you need to call this number. And the number, my office in Miami was next to Southern Command. That's the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, CIA, DIA, et cetera, et cetera. And I knew all those guys, so they were, and so I talked to a friend of mine who was a general, and he said, okay, he said, well, we'll get word to American Airlines. And they told American Airlines that plane was not leaving without me on it.
Wow.
And that plane was supposed to leave at 9 o'clock. And so they agreed to send bring a magistrate to the airport from Bogota, and they deposed me. I told them what happened.
What about the medallion?
Pardon?
The medallion.
I had them. I didn't give it to them, and so because you never know who's
Dirty.
Yeah.
Who's bought out and
you
who's
don't know
not.
who's a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Colombia's that way.
I've seen Pablo Escobar stories, so.
And so anyhow, I had to agree to. They said, "Well, will I come back for a deposition?" I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "I'm not coming back here for a long time, if ever."
Yeah.
I mean, my name's going to be all over the FARC. That's who it was. The rebels. And I said, "No, I'm not." But I did sign a statement that I would go to the Colombian embassy or not the embassy, the consulate office in Miami when they required. Okay, so I get on the plane at 12:40. Now all these passengers are on there.
They must have been. Yeah.
Really.
They're going, who the hell is this guy?
Covered in blood still.
When I get on the plane, the captain. I knew a lot of the crew because I'd fly down the road, every week. I was in one country or another, and so the captain says, "I think you better sit up here in the cockpit." He said, "You okay with that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." I said, And so anyhow, I flew back in the cockpit, and then as soon as I got to Miami, I called the Southern Command, and they sent a guy over, and they got the medallion, and he took a statement.
And a blood
And
sample.
they had the guy, the driver, they had him at 7:45 that night. They had him.
They did.
Well, because they had to go to the hospital, and they were able to track it. And he was actually still in the hospital because I did some serious nerve damage unintentionally, and so they got him. But the problem is, he didn't. The drivers don't know one another. They're different teams altogether.
Right.
And so he had no idea. He didn't provide any useful information. So they said, "What do we do?" I said, "Just kick the shit out of him." And
That's an amazing story, John.
so